Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
The case went cold, but it never went away. Today, an arrest is made in the rape of a golf course worker during the late 1990s. Thanks, everybody, for being with us here at 6. I'm Karen Drew, in for Kimberly Gill.
I'm Devin Skillian. Obviously, this goes back. We first covered this story in the fall of 1999 when a woman was sexually assaulted while working at Twin Lakes Golf Club in Oakland Township. And now here we are more than 2 decades later. DNA evidence has linked the assault in Oakland Township to a similar incident at a golf course on the campus of Penn State University the following year. That led investigators to a home in West Bloomfield Township where they arrested Kurt Reilma. Sean Lay, live with what we know about him and why this old case has suddenly gained new attention. What a story, Sean.
Absolutely remarkable here. Monday is sheriff's investigators at this 51-year-old West Bloomfield's home. They make the arrest. He's in court today. Now he's being held without bond tonight. How they did this is new. We've never heard of this before. Investigators using DNA and genetics from a genetic lab to help lead them to him, their man, 23 years later. 51-year-old Kurt Allen Reilma. His Facebook page shows that he is a husband, father, and a family man. The Oakland County Sheriff says Reilma is an avid golfer. But late today, Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard telling us that the West Bloomfield man has been charged with criminal sexual conduct for allegedly attacking a girl working the snack shack at Twin Lakes Golf Club in Oakland Township years ago.
This case goes back to September 6, 1999.
Oakland County Sheriff's investigators had DNA from that brutal attack, but no suspect. 1 year later, in 2000, a woman is sexually assaulted at knife point on the golf course at Penn State University. The DNA from that attack matched the Oakland Township assault, but still no suspect, just a suspect sketch. Technology has advanced, and the sheriff says partnering with a lab that uses DNA, combining it with genealogy, gives investigators possible DNA relatives. Investigators use those leads to come up with a possible suspect. The sheriff says investigators were able to get Reilma's DNA very recently. He says it is a match to both sexual assaults.
100% corroborative evidence that this person was a suspect both in the 1999 sexual assault in Oakland Township and in the forcible violent rape in Pennsylvania, which was done at a knife point of a jogger.
Absolutely stunning. Investigators using DNA and then adding genetics in to lead them to the person they say is responsible here, Reilma, who's also going to have to go to Pennsylvania now to also face charges. Devin, I'm told that the victim from this attack 23 years ago is telling sheriff's investigators she is so pleased there's been an arrest. She thought there never would be one, and she's so happy investigators never gave up on her case.
You have to believe that's true. She must have thought this was over and done. But I'm curious, Sean, how were they able to get the new DNA that they needed?
That's what I wanted to know as well. How did they get his DNA recently to compare to these other cases? I asked the sheriff, and he says that is a detail that will come out in court in a couple of weeks.
Fascinating. All right, Sean.
So, one of the unique parts of Michigan's massively popular college football tradition is you cannot buy a beer inside the stadium. Well, now Lansing lawmakers are saying it's probably a good time to make a new tradition. Local 4's Rob Maloney live tonight with how they're trying to lift the ban on alcohol sales during the games. Hey, Rod.
Hi, Karen. You know, there's no shortage of beer at a football game, particularly a college football game in the state of Michigan. But they have to drink it in the tailgate that rings the entire stadium before or after. But the legislators are taking a look at this saying, you know, maybe that's not the healthiest thing we could be doing.
Beat them Buckeyes! The college football tailgate is as much a part of the game as the opening kickoff. Yet for Bill's sponsor, Republican Clinton County State Representative Graham Filler.
So I feel like Michigan is behind the times when it comes to alcohol sales at games.
He believes the experiments other Big Ten schools have done in allowing in-game sales have worked, and we as a state should join in.
College events are just something we love, and beer and sports go together like I don't know, like American cherry pie.
Yet for co-sponsor, Democratic State Senator Sean McCann of Kalamazoo, with crowd sizes often bigger than the pros.
So I think this makes really the experience of going to a college sporting event better. It gives an option for people who want to do this like they would at a professional sporting event.
Perhaps more interesting is the idea that there's bipartisan support for much of anything in Lansing. Yet for Democratic Ypsilanti State Representative Jimmy Wilson, it's a way to address fan safety as well.
Out in the parking lot where you have people trying to kind of binge drink before a college sporting event, and that can lead to a lot of unintended consequences out in the public or also potentially in the stadiums.
Now, universities stand to make money doing this. I reached out to a number of programs, U of M, MSU. Nobody wants to talk about any of this. They're all saying that essentially it's all happening up in Lansing, and for now, that's where they'll leave it. Back to you.
All right, we appreciate it, Rod. Thank you so much.
The superintendent of Bloomfield Hills Schools is retiring at the end of this school year. The retirement of Pat Watson following a controversial high school assembly featuring a prominent American Palestinian activist who is anti-Israel. Parents packed school board meetings calling for the resignation of the superintendent and the Bloomfield Hills principal, who is now on leave. In an email to the district today, Superintendent Watson said that after 3.5 years of serving, he was retiring for personal reasons.
The DEA is warning of a deadly new trend as they fight the opioid epidemic. They say the U.S. is experiencing the highest number of drug poisonings ever recorded, largely fueled by the rise in fentanyl. The DEA says it's seen more instances of a powerful muscle relaxant called xylazine mixed with the fentanyl. It's only allowed by the FDA for veterinary use, and it can be more deadly. It also can cause the need for amputations. The DEA says nearly a quarter of the fentanyl powder seized in Michigan in the last year contained that xylazine.
Because xylazine is not an opioid, naloxone does not reverse its effects. However, experts still recommend administering naloxone if someone might be suffering from a drug poisoning.
The DEA says it does not know if xylazine was responsible for a string of overdoses on the west side of the state. 7 people died from fentanyl over in Kalamazoo County just in the last week.
A 13-year-old boy from Ohio is dead after attempting a challenge that he saw on TikTok.
And tonight, his grieving family wants other parents to know his story and also take steps to prevent this tragedy from happening again. Dr. Frank McGeorge joins us now with what their warning is. Doc?
Yeah, Karen and Devin, the Benadryl challenge isn't new. In fact, the FDA issued a warning about it back in 2020 after reports of multiple teenagers ending up in the emergency room or even dying. But the challenge is still circulating on TikTok, and now it's claimed another young life.
I'm going to do everything I can to try to make sure another child doesn't go through it.
13-year-old Jacob Stevens died after 6 days on a ventilator.
The worst day of my life.
He overdosed on Benadryl after attempting a TikTok challenge. The challenge was to take 12 to 14 pills to create a hallucination. Jacob took more than that.
They kind of just all come at one time, and it was too much for his body.
Jacob's father, Justin, says the teen was at home with friends when he overdosed. Jacob's friends were filming him when his body suddenly started seizing. Justin says he felt like time stopped when doctors told him his son would never wake up.
No brain scan. There was nothing there. He said we could keep him on the vent. We could, he could lay there like that, but he will never open his eyes. He will never
breathe on his own.
He'll never do anything like that.
Smile. He'll never walk, talk.
His family says Jacob was a well-mannered, funny, loving kid who played football.
It didn't matter how bad of a day I was having, and nobody else could make me smile. Jacob who made me smile.
Now they have a warning for other parents.
Keep an eye on what your kid's doing with that phone. Talk to them about, the situation. I want everybody to know about my son's situation.
They also want age restrictions on buying medications like Benadryl.
If it's my life goal to make that happen, I'll go at it till I die.
So right now, laws limiting the sale of certain over-the-counter medications vary from state to state. Jacob's family also wants social media platforms like TikTok to have stronger age restrictions.
We talk about warnings. They're important, but obviously just didn't do enough. So it kind of lays on the parents. So what are they supposed to do?
Well, yeah, it boils down to communication, actually. I think talking about these challenges with your teens and tweens is really the best place to start. Kids have this perception that over-the-counter medications are safe, but frankly, any medication can be dangerous if you take more than been directed. And as adults, we need to be more aware of what kids are seeing on social media and be more aggressive about really countering those messages again with communication.
Yeah, grabbing that phone, screening it, putting the time limits. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Todd.
City of Dearborn is taking a trucking company to court, asking a judge to order that the business be shut down. The lawsuit against Pro V Enterprises, located in the south end of Dearborn near I-94 and Miller Road, south of Michigan Avenue. The issue concerns over air pollution from what's known as fugitive dust particulate matter that is tracked in and out by the vehicles that enter and leave the property. Suit claims Pro V has permitted significant amounts of fugitive dust to spread from the property on 16 occasions. Fugitive dust has been linked to respiratory problems, including asthma, chronic bronchitis, even COPD. An injunction filed today seeks to force Pro V to cease operations at the site until it takes action to fix the problem. Well, not quite what we had yesterday, but pretty brisk still.
It is
right?
pretty darn cold. The kids are like, do we still need to bring our winter coats? I'm like, yes, you do. It's cold out there.
I know. And then Thursday, they can have shorts on because temperatures will be close to 80 again. So it's just a typical spring kind of up and down here in Metro Detroit. 44 right now in Mount Clemens and in Pontiac, upper 40s at City Airport, 48 at Metro Airport. We've got a little bit of a breeze out there. In fact, wind gusts in Pontiac at 31 miles per hour, 23 mile per hour gusts in Mount Clemens. So that's why Pontiac and Mount Clemens have wind chills only in the 30s. So it feels like it's in the 30s as kids play sports tonight. It is going to be chilly. But tomorrow we warm up pretty quickly and nicely. Our high tomorrow makes it all the way to 57 degrees, and rain doesn't arrive until at least the evening and overnight hours. Then for Thursday, we're close to a record breaker with a high of 78, back down to the upper 60s for Friday. And then the weekend looks to be much cooler, and one of the days will have rain, the other not. We'll talk about that coming up in the forecast. You can always go to the Forewarn Weather app, though. If you download the app, you can have the interactive radar right in the palm of your hand for your neighborhood.